Popping. Go. All right, Chauncey, it's all you.
It is all me. Good evening. Good evening. And welcome to the Black Trans Men of Ohio, Men of Morpheus Live. Um, so, as we do each and every first Sunday of the month, we sit down and have a conversation with you guys, and we're going to do the same thing this evening. So, we're glad that you guys are joining us. Um, just real quick, we are BTMO, or Black Trans Men of Ohio, which is a collection of Black trans masculine people who seek to increase the visibility and equity of the Black trans masculine individual through community building, mentorship, and providing access to resources in the state of Ohio. My name is Chauncey Cornegie. I am the Vice President of Black Trans Men of Ohio. I am a man of trans experience, and I identify as he, him. And I'm actually going to let my counterparts here introduce themselves because we have something special for you tonight. Eric?
Hey, y'all. It's me, Eric. My pronouns are he, they. I identify as a man of trans experience as well. Um, and I'll throw it to Mel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Malachi Carroll. I go by Mel. I am a trans man of experience, and I am the community relations liaison here for BTMO. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm going to kick it over to India.
What's up, everybody? My name is India. I also go by Indalo. I am a two spirit, and I go by she, he, and they.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys doing that introduction. As always, I'm glad to be in the company of some great folks um, to have these conversations around trans masculine experience in today's world, right? Um, but we actually have something a little bit special for you guys today. Tonight's conversation is actually centered around the health, body, and mind of the FTM, or female to male and transmasculine individual. To do that, we actually have a very special guest tonight who himself specializes in FTM health and wellness. This is actually the brother that created Hello Me, which you'll learn about in the conversation tonight. It's a community created to support transgender and non-binary folks seeking gender. Um, I said that so wrong. I messed up. My apologies. Let me go back. It's an app supported to create transgender non-conforming folks um, seeking gender affirming care and to empower their health journey. He is a master trainer, and he's also a level 5 master trainer, and he's supported by his PhD in clinical exercise and physiology. And also, I've just learned that he accepted a new role as a research scientist at the University of Washington. So that's amazing. So this brother has plenty of information, plenty of knowledge and experience to share with us, and I can't wait to talk to him. So without further ado, we'd like to welcome Dr. Liam Johnson.
Hello, everyone.
What's going on? Welcome, welcome.
Thanks for
Welcome,
having me.
Liam. Happy to have you.
Really
First,
good to have you.
thanks for the introduction. I'll expand on it a little bit. Um, like Chauncey said, my name is Dr. Liam Johnson, PhD in clinical exercise physiology. Now level 2. There are different levels. That means basically that I research for and work with special populations, which would include transgender folks, Black women, Black men, anyone that's not a population that would normally be recorded in the Kaiser Foundation medical journals, which is about 80% of what all medical students study. Um, I do not deal with general medicine because I'm not interested in general population. General population equals cis medicine. What I am interested in is special population. I am a level 5 master trainer. I've been training all bodies since, goodness, since the 90s, so about 20 years or more now. I conducted a study with 600 transgender men that were pre, post, and considering top surgery, and identified 4 different barriers from a 14 question study, from a 14 question questionnaire, 4 different barriers that we face as binary transgender men in seek of care. And it's not just limited to transgender men, it is the transgender community as a whole. In addition to that, with the University of Washington, I'm an adjunct professor in nervous system physiology and exercise physiology, as well as research science. And with research science, same thing there. I do research for special populations and create educational prototypes to support those communities. So this is all I do. It's what I love, and I'm super excited to finally be focusing on my community in the ways that I am now. The app is absolutely needed. It's factual, and it's coming from someone who's not only educated, but I'm also the study. My pronouns are he, him. I am a binary transgender man. And there's definitely not enough space for, I feel, and I've seen, for community or education and factual information via our providers and healthcare workers, and also just basic information, social, emotional, mental. It doesn't end at the hospital. It definitely, that's just one of the facets of where we're missing everything. So that's me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that breakdown and giving us. I know that you could probably talk a lot, around your lived experience and your professional background. But what I'd like to ask you is to talk about how your personal and your professional experience has actually influenced the vision to create Hello Me.
I transitioned in 97, 98. So it's what, 27 years ago. I'm old. 27 years ago or so. And I was in a very small town from North Carolina. Born and raised up. No, I'm just playing. I'm from North Carolina. Okay. And, as you know, Chauncey, it's a very patriarchal state. Very, very, things are the way they are, and they're kept that way for a reason. And I stuck out like a sore thumb from the beginning. I mean, I knew who I was from the beginning, and I've always kind of went against the grain on purpose. My mom used to always tell me, you really are going to learn the hard way, no matter what. So it was really hard to stop me from being who I was meant to be. And in every way I fought it, and that paved out a pretty hard road for me. But at the same time, that hard road benefited me in the ways that I had to learn how to take care of myself. And that is what pushed me to further my education in the direction that I was going, because when I reached out for care, I ran into everything negative that you can name. People that are upset about things now, there was no group to run to. There was no Facebook. There was no, there were no community centers. It's not even about the doctors. Like, there was just no resources. Like, even today, if you don't get good care, at least you can go on Facebook, you can rant about it. You might have 20,000 people to validate you. You at least feel good for a moment. You know what I mean? You might have, depending on where you are, you may have a community center where you have, meetings like this. There wasn't an AOL did not dial up for things like that. Let's just say that. You know what I'm saying? So wasn't no men of Morpheus and none of that. And the people that, just like we've all experienced, the people that are living their truth now in my town, back then, they were a part of the people that beat me down for living mine. You know what I mean? So I was by myself, and I had to go through a lot of really hard trial and error in learning to become the man that I am now. My education has helped me to become better because I care about me more than anybody else could. My providers were so fascinated by my muscularity, after they found out, my sex, even though it's on my paperwork. And I would say they would be so fascinated by my muscularity that they would come back and talk about everything but my issue. So I ended up with a chronic issue that I didn't find out about until it was time for me to have top surgery. They cut into my chest exploded, my fucking blood pressure went up to like my blood pressure went up to like 250. I almost died. I was in the hospital for 3 days. I was in surgery for 10 hours. I came out, one side was flat. I went in, did everything I was supposed to, thinking I'm coming out with my chest looking exactly like I want. I came out. My doctor had no idea I had the issue because they don't check us for anything. All they do is they measure you, they check your BMI, and they say, okay, you ready to have the most life-changing surgery of your life. What other population goes through that? None.
Right.
Cash house for that. And I had surgery at UT Southwestern. Wonderful place, great staff, had a great surgeon, one of the best in the country, but still, someone who isn't making an effort to learn enough about our population. So back to my surgery. I'm in the hospital 3 days. I come out of surgery 10 hours later. I thought I was in for 3 hours like everybody else. I come out, my lady at the time, she had been crying. My family's upset. Everybody's asking about me. I'm like, what's going on? The doctor's like, Liam, we almost lost you. And I found out that a part of the issue that I had been going to the doctor for since the 90s, and they kept sending me home, kept overlooking me, cut me a couple times, butchered me, and let me go. I had a mass in my chest that had necrosticized and eaten the bottom half of my chest. And when they cut into my chest, it exploded.
Man.
The doctor said, had I known, I would have done your surgery.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I do want to get into more of that. I do want to get into more of that, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't want to get too far into it because we have a segment that's going to be kind of dedicated to that sort of conversation. So we definitely want to get more into that. I think that we can all probably, on some level, relate to the healthcare system kind of, for all intents and purposes, dicking us, right? Like those
doing two right are the main reason why this came about. That's
right. The Hello Me, you mean? Perfect.
That surgery was because I started Hello Me as like a weightlifting app. Originally, like 2016, I started mapping it out, and I was doing that because I seen so many cis guys and trans guys that were leading the fellas the wrong way. And I knew that my buildup was great, like pre-op, because I didn't have to do 90% of the stuff that these other people were doing, and they didn't have to go through painstaking measures. Like it was really simple processes that people were just milking them for dollars. Well, after that happened with my surgery, then I won't give no spoiler alert on the end, by the way, the ending for anybody that's on the edge of their seat. But after the surgery, that's when I went back to the drawing board, and I then repurposed it to be something where we had an educational hub and something that was there to educate our providers, because at the end of it all, I was left to fix myself. And I did, as you can see. But when I show my pre pictures, which I will at some point, like most people are like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Because one side was flat. There was nothing there. Yeah. So, you don't have to, and if I keep talking, then we're gonna go off another direction. So I'll wait till later for that. But yeah, so that's what brought about all of this. Was just, at first it was build your muscles, build your body, feel better as a man app. And it went from that to, we need education. People are dying.
So it's deeper than rap. I see that now. It's definitely deeper than rap. Do me a favor, dig in a little bit. I know that everything hasn't completely launched yet, but whatever you can tell us in regards to the app, like just talk to us about what that looks like for us as consumers of the app. Being involved in that. What would that experience look like for us?
Yeah. Oh man, everything you can think of from. Let's see. There's a complete scar care section that touches on everything from holistic care to scar reduction to specific skin tones, from melanated, like dark chocolate, Morris chestnut, to Irish red. Those two skin tones, both keloid, and the doctor doesn't know that to tell people. That's why. And I've seen a lot of white guys on timelines. They're like, what's happening with my scars? What is this? And no one can tell them anything because keloiding is reserved for us, people think. That's not true. It's a special population issue. And then also in the scar care section, not just about post, but pre, how you can prevent your scars from being ugly, how you can prevent your scars from being thick, how you can prevent your surgeon from having to cut you from ear to, your ear to your nose. You know what I mean? Like there's also creams, holistics, links to scar care regimens that will work without you having to buy whatever your surgeon is pushing you from the pharmaceutical company that they work with. There's a lot of us also that have neurodivergent issues with sensory. The strips bother a lot of people, and there's alternative to the strips that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, because we're doing this on a wing and a prayer oftentimes. Most people know that hemp oil, coconut oil, and vitamin C are the three best things that you can put on your scars forever. From the time you come out till death do us part. Those three things, the best three things. And it's because all three of them are geared towards healing, restoration, and smoothing. So as long as you're stretching, you're massage gunning, and you're applying them when you're supposed to, your scars will stay thin and they'll start to fade on their own. The hemp does that. Yeah, and I'll show you, my scars. I'll show you some pictures of my scars at some point. But I mean, they're now about that long, and you can see them only. Part of that's because I'm hairy, but you can only see them in certain areas. But there's also a medication tracker section, medication station, and that goes as deep as how do my hormones, how does my HRT medication affect my ADHD, depression, anxiety meds, to, how do my meds that I'm getting from my doctor interact with all this? What do I do if, I'm HIV positive and I'm on PrEP? And PrEP is going to knock my immune system down on top of my meds knocking my immune system down. What do I do to take care of myself, to keep my blood cell count up and to keep my nervous system up? Because oftentimes what we don't realize is this is not traditional. This is transition. So that means that as long as it took that little boy to go from little boy to puberty to man, it's going to take you to go from F to M.
Say that.
You're fighting. It's like having a 5-gallon bucket of estrogen and you're taking a shot glass every week and putting testosterone in it.
Right.
You do that for 7 years and you're not going to have the bucket.
That's a great visual. Right?
That is literally what it's like. And if you don't do your shots the right way, you might as well scoop some out and throw it back, because you go backwards. For every shot that you miss, you go backwards, because your estrogen fights, because your body's like, I'm supposed to have a baby.
Okay. Well, I do listen. I can see that. Listen, I see your passion in this, and I love that. I really appreciate the fact that you're just kind of like, I needed something, so now I want to create that for other folks who I know also need it. And I see that you're very passionate about it. I love the marriage of your personal background, but also your actual educational background, to then go and like solidify that knowledge so that you can then lead us in a proper direction when it comes to, specifically when we are talking about transmasculine bodies that are using HRT, right? Because that's where a lot of the differences come in terms of like levels and the effects of certain things. You can certainly change your body not on HRT, but that actually is a great segue into the next question, which is, could you frame for us the differences in the FTM or transmasculine bodies that are on HRT and cis male bodies? Because this is a huge thing. Like, as people, a lot of the trans men or transmasculine people, when they begin to transition, they start looking at cis male. You told me one time, you said when you Google something, you're either getting information about cis men or cis women. There's nothing out there about you. So I think it's a perfect opportunity if you could frame some of those differences between the FTM bodies that are on HRT and actual cis male bodies, and why that difference is important to understand.
One of the major differences is a cis man. If there's no stopping taking his tea. If you stop taking your tea, then there's something else that's going to take over, histo or not. So don't think because you've had a histo that you're free and clear, because you're not. Because even with those parts removed, I would have to go way too deep. But I'll make a video about that. But you're not free and clear then. That's the major difference, is being very regimented about this process. It's not microwave, and it's not 5 to 7 years. You know how you know it's not 5 to 7 years? Because you can't show me anywhere where there are studies that have been done prove that it takes 5 to 7 years to complete your transition. To me, that doesn't make logical sense. But I've been doing this for 27 years. I transitioned in the 90s. I started on black market because I had to. There was I was going to get locked up in a mental institution if I asked for hormones one more time. So it was black market. So I did what I had to do. But something that a lot of the guys need to understand now is like with the beard thing. You know, a lot of guys are like, well, yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm 2 years in. I can't wait. 2 years in. Okay, great. Now look at, what are you eating? Do you drink alcohol? How much do you sleep? What are you consuming mentally? Cis men don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And their testosterone level is going to stay what it is, because their testosterone is meant for reproduction. That's why when they get to a certain age, it goes, pew, because their body says you can't make babies anymore. Your testosterone is meant to match the inside. The outside matches the inside, which means it's a process. Alcohol increases estrogen levels higher than anything else could, and it stays for 30 days for each beer you drink. Wow. Increases estrogen 30 days each beer you drink, increases depression on the brain for up to 45 days for each beer that you drink. Now take depression on the brain with not taking your hormones the way you should, on top of, let's say you eat processed food a lot, which is mostly GMO and soy, which turns into what? Estrogen.
Yeah.
And your body, it's going to turn into estrogen that much more quickly because your body wants it. Not because you want it, your biological process wants it. Separate the two. That's why I say transition, not traditional.
That makes perfect sense.
We have to worry about everything we consume for at least 10 years. And that doesn't mean that you have to live this strict life and walk a line, but you've got to find your balance. You won't until you learn your body. You won't until you accept your body in full. You won't until you come out of that toxic spot that you've put yourself in, following cis guys and being around the wrong people.
So I have a question real quick.
Go ahead.
And this is based off of my own experience, because when I first started tea, I also was vegan. And in being vegan, I stopped eating on a regular basis soy and wheat gluten, just because that was a thing that was bothering me at the time. So I'm wondering, as you're telling these things, I'm wondering if that connects to, because people be like, how'd you get this beard? And you got all of this, and they're
right.
I'm genetics. I don't know.
I'm glad you brought it up, because a vegan meal plan is not the best way for an FTM person to go. The reason why is because everything that we do is surrounded around collagen. Vegan, there's nothing vegan that you'll get collagen from. You'll get a lot of incomplete proteins, and once you put them together, they won't even be the complete protein to give you the vitamin A, K, and D that you need to develop the things that are supposed to bind with your tea. Okay. So when you consume a vegan diet, even if you're consuming, it would have to literally be a plan where you cook every single meal and everything's fresh and you know exactly where it came from and the exact amount of this, that, and the other in everything for you to get the complete amount that you would from eating even just a carnivore diet. Vitamins A, K, D, and collagen are what make our bodies up. And particularly when you're going through a transition, because those are the first things that break down. Because those are the things that go along with folic acid to feed a baby. So they're higher.
I also lost a bunch of weight.
Now, when you start taking You lost a bunch of weight. Now that I believe because soy, it's gonna keep that weight on you for a baby.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I speak in terms of biology.
Yeah.
Because I know who I am.
Yeah.
Speaking in terms of biology should never bother you because you should always know who you are. The man was there way before. I was 3.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to stand up P. So like that, you know what I mean? Like that's something we need to really get inside here. And once you do, you'll be able to take care of everything. If you take care of her, he can thrive. If you don't, he will suffer with every step.
Man, listen, don't go too far, man, because you know I thought about these questions I wanted to ask you today, and I'm gonna let you get loose on that one.
And that doesn't mean that you have to.
I didn't want you to get too far in that.
One more thing on that vegan thing. That doesn't mean for people that are vegans, because I'm sure somebody's steaming over that, but it's the truth. You can look it up. That doesn't mean that you have to go to an all meat diet. That just means you need to start adding in things that will feed your omegas. So even if you go to salmon, grouper, scallops, oysters, things like that, not tilapia, not perch, not whitefish. Don't get anything that you would get at your grandma's cookout. That's fish gonna kill us. We need fish that eat the good stuff out of the ocean, and not fish that are processed somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
No whiting sandwich.
Also, with meat, you know, you don't have to add in porks. But if I were everyone watching, I would never eat turkey bacon. Cut it open and show me the turkey. Turkey bacon, if you look at the back of the packet, there are 4 ingredients in turkey bacon that increase estrogen very fast. The same 4 ingredients go in chicken breast. Why can't you eat chicken breast? The name kind of lives up to what it does. I mean, chicken boobies. I mean, would that help better if I say it better that way? Chicken breast is full of estrogen. Full of it.
When you talked about turkey bacon, does that same process cross over into deli meat, like, you know, which we call sandwich meat?
Anything that's processed, anything that's processed is bad for you. You'd be better off seriously baking a ham for an hour and a half and just slicing it up. Like, you would be way better off doing that, and you would get all of the nutrients that you need, and you'd still be able to make your ham sandwich.
I got a question for everybody real quick. I wanted to roll back to something that you said before. You coined that this time frame of like 5 to 7 years, which I know for a fact when I started my medical transition, that was something that I heard on more than one occasion, like 5 to 7 years. But as I'm actually approaching, matter of fact, I just had my 7th year T-versary on December the 3rd, which was, it's today. Wow.
Hey,
shout out. Golly. That's what happens when your heads is in the books. You forget what day it is. Thank you. But
it's all right.
So I'm 7 years in, but I also had realized that my process did not follow the timeline that I was given, which I knew for a fact that everybody was different, but I thought something was off because there were things happening to me in year 5 that quote unquote should have been done happening to me in year 2. You see what I'm saying? And there's still changes that are happening now in year 7, which is wild to me, according to the information that I was got in the beginning. So what I wanted to ask each of us, like, did you guys get the same information? Are y'all getting the same 5 to 7 year process or time frame on your process? Like, did y'all hear that when you began your medical transitions?
So I didn't get the timeline. I didn't get that timeline. But being in the field that I'm in, I know that I didn't go the timeline way. In fact, like, my voice, has not changed, and I'm 7 years in, But Lim just said something that caught me, because when I get chicken, the first thing I do is get the chicken breast. You know what I'm saying? And now that tells me, where I'm getting tea, I'm eating all this chicken breast and putting estrogen in my body as well. You know what I'm saying? So they're fighting against each other.
And if you're getting processed food, same thing. Doesn't matter if you go to a place where they make the food fresh. You can't see what's on the grill before your food. So whatever is on the grill is cooking into your food as well.
Yes. I just think I'm going to stick to Whataburger.
That's process, bro.
Yeah, it's still processed
I
food.
mean, that's what Jerry Jones eating. He's the picture of health.
Who did that?
Okay, cool. Like, so we were talking about you touched a little bit about just the medical community. And one thing that I heavily want to focus on just in this conversation throughout all of these questions or topics is just the nuances of being who we are on and off HRT. But I wanted to talk about the medical community for a moment. Like when we were talking about bodies, right? We got to go to the doctor, healthcare. They're the professionals that are giving us the information about us, right? So my question is, what protocol is the medical community adhering to when caring for us? And then how is that precedent being tailored to address the nuances of our needs?
There is none.
None. So you
No,
don't have like none of,
it's all
okay.
experiment. It's all
Okay.
experiment. Even the when I conducted the study that I did, and I was looking for academic research to back my findings. 75% of all medical books are written by one family, the Kaiser Foundation, and they've even admitted as late as 2021 that about 85% of their medical journals have absolutely nothing about transgender folks. Very limited information about the L, the G, and the B, but nothing about us. Not to mention that when I also conducted a study with 100 different providers, some very popular providers that we all have been, have used or like mail order stuff like that, and spoke to some of their practitioners, and same thing. 70% of the people I found out of 100 said that they usually did not know where to direct people and had nothing to give whenever certain questions were asked, and oftentimes gave out the wrong information. They would find out because the patient would come back and be like, no, I feel this way. Just like, you go to the doctor and you are on, say, 0.5 every week, and that's not right for you because it doesn't feel right. You know how you're supposed to feel. You've been doing it long enough, So, or mentally it's not right. So you go back to your provider, and your provider says, okay, well, how are you feeling? I don't think my dosage is right. Oh, well, it's probably right. We get gaslit. If you had a tool and a resource that you could refer to, and the doctor could refer to, that would back you, that would help a lot. You know what I mean? And then you would be armed with it going in. But right now, going in, the only way that you win is if you suffer in some way and you can prove it to your doctor. No other group has to do that, except for Black women sometimes in cases when it comes to dealing with white OBGYNs. But, we have to prove, okay, I'm suffering. And we don't look at it as suffering because we endure so much. And we're so grateful that we're able to go through this process. We're anxious to get our stuff. And God forbid anything gets cut off, because we don't realize that none of that could happen anyway. That's illegal. Because we are not, through misinformation and disinformation through the media also, we're fed things as a collective. They don't add in small phrases that matter. Like if you have insurance, like just different. I don't want to say anything that, is going to offend anyone else, but there are certain things that, you should know about yourself.
Right.
And paying attention. And part of the reason why we don't pay attention, that's dysphoria. But to me, that comes from a lack of representation in the community, where that to me is toxic masculinity. We can talk about that more later, I'm sure. But when you can't accept every part of yourself, and therefore you are a misrepresentation, and that goes for the antis, where, I over accept the female part of myself. So, screw you for not wanting to free bleed or have a baby, right. All the way to, guys that you're so manly now after 5 shots that you can't talk about the bottom part of your body. What the hell?
Right.
When you have one of the most complicated systems on the planet. And you're only making it that much more complicated the minute you take your first shot. That's why it's never mind. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You're good. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt. I was just gonna.
Mel talking about his process. I know, Mel said before he does subcutaneous. Every brother that I know that does subcutaneous, their voices take longer to change. Hair growth is less. Body fat is higher, and in the areas where it shouldn't be. And it's because this is an intramuscular process. Your body goes like this. You've got your skin, you've got visceral fat underneath, you have muscles, you have bones, you have organs. When you go to grab your belly and you grab a hunk of fat and you shoot it in there, that means you are now, say if you had a vat of bacon grease that was like dry, and then you take a little cup of hot Crisco and you pour it on top, and you watch how slowly it has to, how long it takes. That's exactly what's happening with your tea and the fat. Because fat is going to do everything it can to eat it up.
Yeah.
So it might sit in your belly for a little bit. It might absorb 2-3 days. So you miss your peak time, which most guys don't even know what that is, because the doctor doesn't tell you what that is. And you can capitalize on that more than anything. Don't know how important that is with taking your shot on time. But subcutaneous shots, and I've had, just like gel, I did videos on this. I've done 2 videos. Gel the same way. And especially with us, because of the skin changes that you go through when you start taking testosterone. Your skin gets harder. It gets rougher. It's more prepared. You're a man. It's more prepared. There ain't no reason for you to have soft skin in your mind, in your body's mind. So what that does is it causes complications. You sweat more. Your body's expelling things more, not absorbing. When you have more estrogen, your body absorbs very quickly. It does. Science.
We got a quick question in the chat. Mel Howard asked, "Is it okay to eat regular bacon?" Just to circle back.
Absolutely. Yep.
It is.
I eat regular bacon. No sugar, no like apple smoked or anything like that. But like I eat Wrightsville regular bacon. It is better to eat fresh things that you can read what's on the package than not.
Gotcha.
If not, then all of our ancestors would have died a very early death. People are dying now from things that people didn't die from years ago when we had wells, when there wasn't even clean water. And that's because of all the chemicals people are eating. Why would you eat, I can't believe it's not butter, and you're eating palmitate DHT, you're eating yellow dye number 8. Why not just eat butter when it says on the package butter? You feel me?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. I've gotten a lot more into reading my labels these days. I'm not perfect, but I certainly read my labels, and when I see things like GMO or engineered or natural flavor, because I learned that natural flavors don't really mean natural flavors. You feel me?
Nope.
And so things like that I've just grown my knowledge in that way. So again, it's not a perfect science, but I'm doing a lot better in seeing those things. And also, when you're standing in the grocery store, you got your phone right with you. If you see stuff on the back of something that you don't know, put it in Google, find out about it, see what it is, and that's how I
don't
do
even
a lot of
Google
stuff.
what's this used in. Google what's this used in, or what's it used for, and then you'll find out really what it is.
Okay, I'll start
Google
doing that.
What's it used for, and you'll find out it's used for cleaning products or dye or something like that. And with having estrogen in your body, if you haven't had a histo and you're eating foods that contain a lot of dyes, you're upping your chance for cancer that much more, because taking tea without a histo ups it. We know that. That's not an alarming thing, but you're capitalizing. And let's say you're a little bit chubby. Add that on top of it. You drink a little alcohol. Add that on top of it. So whenever, because a lot of times when I say things about lifestyle changes, people get offended, but you have to think about your habit stacking. Think about the entire thing. Like when you think about, a club sandwich, you don't just say, yeah, it's bacon on it.
No, it's layers.
Tell me what's on the whole sandwich. You know what I mean? Like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we talk about that, then it almost feels like, because obviously I feel like what you're doing is like you're pioneering something that we don't have yet, right? But in the meantime, how do we, or what are ways that we can obtain more accurate information about our bodies and our own medical health care and how certain medication and procedures will affect us specifically? How do we do that?
Well, I mean, one of the major things, particularly for transgender, transmasculine, binary men right now, would be to follow the outlets that I offer. The Hello Me, get Hello Me on IG, Liam Johnson on Facebook, not the one with my face, the one with my body. Facebook's a hater. Wouldn't let me change the other name. Right? But definitely, and not to promote myself because I'm not selling anything, and I will never try and sell you anything. I don't need to do that, but because I know that my information is accurate. And also, something else, start actually paying attention to and supporting the trans folks that are knowledgeable in their fields. Stop running to cis people and put the popular people. Most of the time, those are the people that don't know anything. The rest of us that aren't, we don't have time to be popular because we're studying. So, like, that would be why you would want to support those people. Like, we're the people that are trying to create tools so that you can survive to get cute, to go get your award at the banquet or whatever, the next panel discussion. Like, that's something that it really irks me is the people that get support in this community, but you realize that you still can't go to the doctor and get what you need. So what people are telling you is, oh yeah, it's great, trans visibility, but we don't care if you live or die.
That's
So when you start to
check.
support, when you're supporting all these people, that's what you're supporting. Because there's a community of us out here that are actually studying and trying to make a difference. But because, it's a popularity contest in this community sometimes, man. I hate to say that. Then I don't really care about being anybody's friend. I care about you staying alive. I care about you not having to go through what I went through. I care about you being able to go to the doctor and feel confident. We're the only community that can't go to a plastic surgeon and say, damn it, this is what I want. Let Karen go to the plastic surgeon and he tell her, see, I'm gonna leave fat in your cheeks. You don't need that. We'll see him on Dateline soon. But we have to accept whatever. Why? Because we don't know. We don't listen to the people we should listen to. But we run after these cis dudes that are taking your money and laughing at you because they don't understand you. And I know because that was one of the questions in the study. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Somebody was saying something.
Did somebody have a question? No? All right.
All right. I'm extremely passionate about this because, it's everything that we're doing is shaping this new community that's forming of trans men. And it's really ugly. The younger guys don't have examples to follow so that they can thrive in real life, so that we can actually create resources for ourselves, banks for ourselves, places where we can be and be comfortable, have funds where we can actually fight for ourselves without having to wait or placate to someone to get it done. If we're not going to do that, on social media, that's not the place. That is a fairy tale land that's going to keep you away from Presentville. Trauma land exists on social media. Trauma land. Yeah. Presentville is out here. And a lot of brothers don't have an example to show them that you can live the way it is right now. It will not always be that way. I was there. I remember thinking, God, when is it going to change? I can't do this. But it doesn't stay like that. And this is how.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I agree.
Out of real love, real respect, real care, authenticity, not, this and that. Social media has created the whole, I'm going to listen to you because I feel like shit about myself. And that's.
Yeah, I'm going to speak to that because as a person who very much was all about social media and I used to post all the time and like that sense of I'm going to say false community and anybody who's offended by that, sorry, but when people show up for you online but they won't show up for you in real life, that is a false community to me.
Absolutely.
You're not building an actual community. You just got people who want to. There's a term that I have on the tip of my tongue and I can't find it, but it's just people like mouth service, lip service. That's the one.
Mm.
They gonna talk good game, but when it comes to actually showing up for you and actually doing the work to help more than just themselves or their community that they have in their real life, if you're not a part of that community, you're not going to get the real support that you probably actually need.
Man, I've reached out about this app to so many people all the way back to 2018. So many people. And it's not, I'm not asking for anything when I reach out except, can we talk about this on your platform? Can you share this so brothers will know? The only person who paid me any attention was Mel. Mind you, I've spoken to people that I know it's going to happen. Like I already know all that. I've got wire screens, all that. I was reaching out because I wanted community. I wanted community involved. I was pumped. I was like, this is something that we don't have. Naive, thinking, when I hit this brother up, he gonna hit me right back.
And don't.
I still ain't heard nothing. And then I went looking through the documents that I saw from 2015, 2016, where I was sending, the ideas out to these people. Like, look, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think? Nothing back. But I can't see one thing that's doing anything like this for us anywhere. And it ain't about my name. Those letters inside of my name, I've earned my clout, like straight up. I worked hard for it, earned it. I get paid for it.
That's right.
So it ain't about that. And I understand the people that have never been in that position, and that's part of the reason why there's so much gatekeeping and selfishness. But this is about health. Like, this isn't even about, me going up making a speech. But hey,
no, the results that you see from what you do, that is your speech. That's a living speech.
That's why
it's
I don't
a living
talk
resume. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I don't talk much.
I have my own thought process about our community, and I know that can be a whole nother conversation, a whole nother live. It can be a whole series, really. But I really just believe in terms of just this community, like one thing that we are lagging in and not really taking a lot of accountability in, and I feel like I'm getting out of order here, but I'm gonna say this anyway. That we are not healing before we're jumping into the positions of leadership, trying to, like, we're not like fixing ourselves, and then we're like jumping on these platforms, and then we getting all this love. So it's like that dopamine hit, boom, 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 and it's like you really not fixing nothing. So you still hiding, you're still doing things that are not safe or loving to yourself and loving to your body and loving to the people around you, because you get a title and you presume that this is it, you have arrived, and we're doing things backwards. And I have a person to build on a cellular level. I don't want to be out in front of anybody until I have built from the inside out. This world is really based on just now, and not just in the trans community. I think just this world right now, we are based on looking like we're something versus actually being things. And it makes it very easy via social media and all of these things. You can really look like something and really be nothing, like nothing and really be something. It's a crazy time, but I think that we need to start pushing each other and holding each other accountable and holding ourselves accountable to that. And that's somewhere that I found myself feeling really silenced in a way of, this community, we love to provide resources, which is amazing. We need to, but I don't want to just feed you fish. I want to teach you how to fish. That's really like what my heart is set on, because I feel like if you can do for yourself, then you can create the life you want versus me having the response. I wouldn't want to give no other individual agency over my life. And I have to learn what I need to do for me so that I can get where I want to go to do that. And I just feel like we don't do a lot of that. And I think that has a lot to do with our minds, which we're going to talk about in the next segment. But before we get there, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all
You
right.
want to
No,
jump
I
in?
agree. I agree with you, and I think it's because trauma exists on both sides. You got the side of the person that needs that parent and that love that they haven't gotten, and then you got the side of the person that's going to be that parent that needs that affirmation and ego boost, and you're good enough. And some of them are outright narcissists, and part of that is because they haven't healed from the bullshit they went through. And they tell it in their posts. Y'all said I couldn't be nothing. Look at me now. And then, you've got 15 people following you around, calling you, pops and daddy and uncle. And you're not teaching these people anything other than to worship you.
I think when I first came across Get Hello Me, I knew when I saw it, I knew it was something I needed within myself. So I know if I needed it, there's someone else who needed it out there. I feel like Hello Me is something that needs to be a nationwide thing. Not
Me
only
too.
because not only not only because it's ran by a trans man, but this is a doctor in our community. It's part of our community. And the more we support our own, we have to start supporting our own. Yeah, Chauncey, like you said, there's a lot of resources out there, right? And everyone's always saying what we need, and people are big companies are actually giving out what people say they need, but people aren't showing up for the things they say they needed. This app is here, but who's actually showing up to see what this app is all about? You know,
Right.
it's time to stop talking about and be about it. Let's start putting time into our people and our community.
Yeah. And I mean, it's going to happen no matter what. Like this is a dream that, I mean, I fought through hell with my transition. Hell, 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 hell. I wear scars to this day. And I know that there's someone somewhere that's going through similar shit in a rural area. No resources. Having to be tough when you don't have to be. Thinking nobody cares about me. Nobody loves me. I don't fit in nowhere. I don't have a place anywhere. God forbid they go on Facebook. Then they get to look at everybody that wants the comparison reel, which sends you only deeper in. 44% of us commit suicide each year. That's almost half the community wiping themselves out.
That's 2.5 of us right here. That's 2 of us right now.
44%. That two of y'all just boom right there.
Right
if
now.
this were with any other community, this would be a national crisis. But because we are still seen as moral deviants by our doctors. I had a kid tell me on Facebook the other day, and I told him, I said, if I were near you, and this was back in the day, I would have checked your chin. He said, well, my doctor told me you don't have to be dysphoric to be considered trans. Everything I've been through in my life. You know what I'm saying? I was like, see this right here? I said, this is the problem.
Dig into that a little bit.
And it's because of the way I look. Yes, I'm super masculine. This is the man that I am. Indalo knows exactly who they are. Chauncey, that's who you are. It's okay for every other community except for binary, Black, trans men. We are considered toxic because we look like the people that hurt other people. Mm-hmm. That wasn't me. And the things that cause me dysphoria are absolutely valid. And if I tried to shut down any other group that said they were dysphoric about something, I'd be blackballed. Mm-hmm. So yes, I will stand up very tall for the kids that are like, leave me alone. They deserve to have a space to feel just fine in their skin. And if they don't, then they will become toxic masculine men. They will, because they'll be weak and they'll be bitter. And that's toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
That's the dude you see standing up arguing with some woman and then he pops her. Weak and bitter. And that comes from comparisons, no validation, no community. Look at black men.
Ooh.
Let's talk about the space though,
We're
because
moving that way.
masculinity doesn't just get shut down. Like masculinity is shut down. Period.
It's villainized.
And it is because
I've been villainized everywhere before I even open my mouth. And I am in love, Walker. I have no other choice to be.
People don't actually understand what masculinity is. That's the problem.
No, they don't. No. And that's because they take it from the people that hurt them rather than getting to know each person as you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That would be like, you know, for example, you will hear me say all the time, this will not be a part of Hello Me because that I can't represent you. To me, that is the highest level of respect that I can show you. Than to try and represent you, knowing that I'm not doing it authentically. I'm doing it because I'm gonna get a grant. I'm doing it because I know it's gonna boost me in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why? But then I neglect the men that I'm supposed to represent. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make that one a whole nother. We're gonna have to make that one an episode, for sure. For sure, we need to talk
we're
about
under an umbrella, and under this umbrella, we are beaten down for no reason.
Yeah, dumped in a bucket. Everybody just dumped in a bucket. Mm-hmm. Everybody get everything that's not cis heteronormative gets dumped in a bucket. When in reality, there's so many nuances amongst the entire LGBTQ umbrella that it makes it hard for us to actually really hone in on the nuanced needs of each community that exists under that umbrella.
That's
to
why
be very honest, it's really a disservice to everybody.
That's why there has to be somebody from that community that represents them, and that's okay. Right. Or, like for example, that would be like the way that we're villainized for the way that we look at anyone getting to know me is me villainizing non-binary people. Because that doesn't fall in line with what I understand. You know why I would never do that? Because we're under the same umbrella. Shit, you had a journey to go through. I know it was hard. That's enough for me. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't understand why black people don't like each other. We both get oppressed. Like, bruh. There is no need. Everybody has a space. The community's huge.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
I'm comfortable in my masculinity 100%. But I'm also very comfortable in my femininity.
It's balance. You're gonna have both.
The way people will perceive things is the way they'll perceive things. And you just like with some groups, until I say that, some people don't fool with me until I say I'm comfortable with my femininity. Why wouldn't I? I was a girl all my damn life. I was born with intuition that you'll never understand. I was born with care and comfort that you'll never understand. Compassion you'll never understand. Unless you were born biologically the way I was. It's just everything didn't click and I knew it. But I learned to take all of the beautiful things with me to make me a wonderful man. And you know how I know I'm wonderful? Because my lady tells me.
I think that's a key point that you just pointed out too. Like when you talked about like the innate things that were born into you, that you recognize. I think that we get so caught up. A lot of trans masculine people get so caught up in this argument of like, the first thing that cis people say to us to demean us is, oh, you'll never be a cis man, or you'll never be a real man, or what have you. And I'm very comfortable, and actually I find it to be my superpower that I'm not just like you. You know what I'm saying? I
think that if you fall for that line, it's just like any guy falling for that line. Like a cis man can tell another cis man, you ain't never gonna be a man like me. I've ran into things like that back when I was a lesbian, like because I was that much of a dude. Like,
Right.
and I used to say all the time, I must really get under your skin because you always got something to say. You just let me know my shit don't stink.
That's the truth, though.
I'm a
But what
Leo
I'm
though.
saying
That's why
is,
people don't like me.
it's
Because
a lot of young brothers out here. It's not even just young. It's a lot of brothers out here or transmasculine individuals who are very comparative. Even though I'm a man, right? Like I don't need to compare myself to.
that's
There are
because you're
things.
secure. You're
There
secure.
are
Well, you got to think about it,
experiences
man. You're
that
secure and
cis
you don't hang out.
individuals have. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wait,
I'm sorry. I think we got a delay. I don't want to talk over you. Go ahead.
well, you're secure, but a lot of the guys still hang out in the same circles that they did pre-transition. You can't hang out with a bunch of lesbians and expect to be affirmed as a man. You're only going to be beat down. And if you're hanging out with cis dudes, then you hopefully you were the same way both before and after. Nothing
Yeah.
changed about me other than my outer appearance. I was always more rough as a girl anyway. I grew up in the country with a bunch of dudes though. Socialization has a lot to do with it too. You know, if you decide socialization is everything, not has a lot to do with it. I have a master's in sociology also. Doesn't have just it's everything. If you transition and you are still hanging out with the same group of lesbians that you did pre-transition, they're not going to treat you like the man you are. You're going to become the group joke. A lot of them still hang out with these people. So they decide to come to Facebook and compare or Instagram. When I've run into a lot of these same people and the confidence isn't there.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you don't navigate where you should. Because real life, you have to be able to walk through whatever. If you want to live in your truth, unless you're going to take all the lesbians with you everywhere you go.
I mean, that's people in general. You got to be solid in yourself, regardless.
So
Whether
you
it's,
said it all.
your
So
former crew or whatever.
So being us, you have to be 10 times solid.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to be black, if you're black, 20 times solid. Because we transition into the most hyper masculine part of society where you are tested the most and you can look whatever way you want to, but right here is where it shows.
Yeah.
What you gonna do when the shit gets real, when you have to navigate in places.
But that's why you got to go back and do this work internally.
You just said heal. Yeah.
You got to go do it. You got to go do this tough stuff, man. You got to go do the tough stuff.
When you know you are immovable. It doesn't matter who you are. When you know you, people won't even bother you.
Say that.
They don't come to you because you give it off.
Yeah.
And a lot of these young dudes, they don't know themselves. A lot of these older dudes, they don't know themselves. That's why people bother you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you play with it, which only further lets them know you ain't taking yourself seriously. And then don't let it be something where you're not holding your own as what society sees as a man. That's another conversation. You know, a lot of these brothers they live off of, begging and GoFundMe. And you can't want to walk around and be Big Daddy, and that's your source of getting it. The man is the man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I saying that? No. I'm saying what you give off is what you're going to get back.
True that.
Absolutely.
Learn yourself, run your race, stay in your lane, and progress.
But that's the thing. Some people don't learn themselves before they try to be out there. You know what I'm saying? They have to be in touch with themselves. And in my case, I had to find that little girl years ago and understand who she was in order to be the man I am.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Oh, inner child work, absolutely. I had to sit down in front of the mirror, man. I had to do some serious trauma work. And what my therapist, I've been seeing the same therapist for like 3 years. She had me sit down in the mirror, and she told me, she was like, talk to that little girl and tell her, you're good. You can go play. I got this. Ain't nobody gonna hurt us. The stuff you went through, it wasn't your fault. Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. You're beautiful. All the stuff that you play right here. The stuff that prevents you from being able to see how good you look in the mirror now. The things that, when you look back at pictures and you're like, damn, I didn't look bad at all, but you were hard as hell on yourself back then because you couldn't see the beauty in you because the tapes are still rolling. So I sat down in the mirror and I did that. And man, I mean, I cried like a baby, man. I did it for about 2 hours, but it was the best thing I could have done for myself. That and accepting and doing shadow work, accepting that ugly side and turning it into my power.
Mhm.
Because there was a time where, you know, self-hate existed in me. To where I was that person that was mad at everybody else, comparing myself to other people. I only speak about things that I know about. You know what I mean? And we go through that because we don't have examples. And the examples that we do have are they're toxic, they're cis, they're television, they're you know, these people that you're following on Instagram and Facebook that you only get to catch these shots of. Because I guarantee you, people that are really doing it in life, unless they have a business on the internet or something like that, they're not putting their personal life. Because we don't want to be asked for money. Real talk. We do not want anybody asking us for money. That's why you don't put your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I train in the dark.
So real quick, let's in just in the spirit of this conversation, just talking about inner work, right? One of the one lesson that I have learned tough time and time again throughout this process of medically transitioning and using HRT is that the regularity of my shot, it matters. And when I say it matters, when I tell you that now I've learned to the point of where, you know, I'm irresponsible and I forget, because actually taking your shot the same day around the same time is that matters. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I had to recognize, like, you know, when you start looking a certain way, you might forget or you run out of supplies or medication or whatever. And let me tell you something. The things that will happen to you internally in your mind, that your mind is playing. I had to tell a brother this one time, like, look, sometimes when you are not on your medication properly, your hormones are doing this crazy dance. Everything that you're thinking is not real. Everything that's in your head is not real. So I preface that to say, talk about the importance of regularity in your HRT, and then also like how that affects your mental health.
Oh,
Talk
yeah.
about that.
So a real easy way to explain it, right? And that was a good analogy you gave about crazy dance. I'll even add that in. So a real easy way to explain it is you think of your endocrine system, which controls your hormones, as a call center. Your hormones control your hippocampus and your pituitary glands up here. Your endocrine system controls all of that. It's a call center. So when you're behind on your shot and you know you can feel it when you're getting that, you can, if you've been on your shot long enough, you can tell the day that you're behind on it almost, because you get a little more snappy. Everything is, I hate everything. Or you might get emotional about things you would normally get emotional about, stuff like that. So what's happening is all the calls are coming in and there's a ton of calls in queue, but you've got every phone that's ringing, someone's on them, and then you got calls in queue. So essentially you are going crazy. Imagine yourself in a money machine and you're reaching for the dollars, right? That's your thoughts. That's why sometimes they don't go together the right way. Sometimes you might find yourself stumbling over words and you're like, damn, I know I'm smarter than this. That's sometimes you might find that you slept a whole 8 hours, but you're not awake because all your calls are in queue. Your hormones are now being ran by whatever's going on. Your pituitary gland is no longer secreting. Your hippocampus is now like Jim Carrey on what was that? Where he was God and he was typing. That's kind of like
Bruce Almighty.
Say that again. It's a delay on your side, Chauncey.
You talking about Bruce Almighty?
Yeah. Bruce Almighty. So that's kind of like where your thoughts are. That's why. Now, if you couple that with, which is what happens to a lot of people, lack of sleep. You know, let's say, I say alcohol because a lot of drinking happens in our community. Smoking weed with the lack of sleep, alcohol, smoking weed, even if you smoke tobacco, and then you eat bad food, say you eat sucky times, then you're in psychosis. And that's why it feels that way. And if there's research that shows that teens in puberty, sometimes it's compared to going into extreme psychosis. That's why girls, sometimes go, nutso on their mom. That's why sometimes Most of the killers that are boys when they're young, 16, 17, when they're getting that surge of testosterone. It's very important for us, especially because your body is fighting with estrogen as well. So your body, you're sending yourself into early menopause.
Mm.
So when you regulate your shots, it's still going to be a battle, an uphill battle, depending on how long you play with them. So even when you get back to regulation, it'll be uphill.
My bad, I didn't mean to step over.
No, it's delaying just a little bit.
I know. I was having some issues. Can you hear me talking now? Can y'all hear me talking now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and my apologies because I don't mean to step over any. I wanted you to talk about what the solution to that looks like. How do we optimize our shot schedules basically to make sure that
there's in the medication station on the app, there's a shot reminder, a shot schedule, and lots of links for easy injectors, and there's also shot videos where you can follow along, or you can just learn how to give yourself a shot in different places in an easier way, because you're not taught that in the office. I've also made videos on my pages about how to make your shot easier. It's a few shot hacks, and they work well. Stay on your regimen. Give yourself your shot at a time when you know you're going to do it. When you take your shot, there are days where I don't want to. I've been taking my shot for 27 years. There are days I don't want to take it. Those days, you know what I tell myself? You want to be a man, take a shot. It's that simple. You got to have it. You want to be a dude, take it. Like, that's it. I'm being silly, but seriously, like, even right down to this is what it takes. This is what I have to do. This is what I'm going to have to do forever. This is what I have to do. You can do this. Just do it. Get it done. But the shot hacks work. Yeah. They really do. Check out the videos, especially the ice pack. That's a game changer. When you learn how to use the bevel, you learn what angle to go in. Those are game changers. When you learn that it is not normal to hit a blood vessel dribbles out like that. To hit a capillary, goes out like that. To hit a nerve, locks up, gets a fat ass knot, and jiggles a little bit. None of that is normal, and there are ways to avoid it. One of the best ways, ice pack. And the ice pack also will cool your nerves down. Ice cold therapy is a really good way to calm yourself anyway. So when you put it on that area, you kind of displace your mind from the entire thing. Then when you know how to hold your needle, you know the rate at which you shoot, because the faster you shoot, you're gonna hurt yourself. Testosterone has crystals. So yeah, there's lots of things that you can do. And then there'll be links to easy injectors on the app also. And everything that we've spoke about will be on the app, including the Elder Circle, which will be a place where we'll even talk about those issues that we were talking about that are a little touchy. And we're going to talk about them on purpose because they need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed in a very honest and open way, I think. And I think there's too much sugarcoating in the name of what I want out of something. And then on top of that, authenticity is being preached. And I just don't see those things going hand in hand. You can't sugarcoat and water down who you are and then tell other people, living authentically is the way to go.
Right.
You're watering down who you are for what? Social media fame. An app that an app that honestly, if Wi-Fi went out tomorrow, nobody would.
I think most people water down themselves at the deepest level, looking for acceptance to fit in. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wants to be. That's part of human nature to want to belonging. And I think at the root of that, doing the internal work, because everybody has people, everybody got their tribe, but you got to be your authentic self so that tribe can be, y'all can vibe on the same frequency.
But are they really your tribe? But are they really your tribe if you're not being authentic? Then they don't know you.
That's what I'm saying. You have to
know who they are, who you are. They hate you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to be your authentic self in order to attract your true tribe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The people that you really are supposed to. I'm not talking about the people that are loving you while you dousing yourself. I'm talking about when you begin to move like you, and there's going to be some people that fall off, but then that's also going to open up room for the people that should be in your purview, that should be connected to you, where you can be honest with them and you can be yourself and you don't have to worry about being on eggshells and whatnot. And that's something I'm learning like right now in this space, like as we speak. Real quick, Doc,
And there
we
will
got
be shadow work on the app too. There's a shadow work journal. It'll be available on the app. There's going to be
that's dope.
Yeah, there's going to be meetings called Dear Black Men,
Yes.
where we all meet, and there's a PDF that goes with it. There's questions that deep dive, trans specific, goes all the way from childhood to now, and it's addressed not as you were born, but the Black boy you were born as. So we speak in those ways, and to get people in the right mental frame. You know what I mean? Like, stop living back then. Like, you have to deal with everything so that you can move forward and thrive.
Absolutely.
That's why I like that y'all
We do that
brought
a
up.
lot. We take that trauma. We take that trauma into our transition. You know what I mean? I remember being still having trauma from being treated horribly after I transitioned and I moved, and people were being nice, and I was like, why the hell are these people being so nice to me? So what they want? Like, I thought, I got to a point where I thought people were supposed to be a little mean to you.
Right.
That's how horribly I'd been treated. It just became something that was a norm because everybody knew my secret, where I was from. So when I got to a place where nobody knew my secret and everybody just knew Liam, and they got to know me and they were loving me, I was like, and for a bit, it took a bit for me to learn what it was to drop the old things and the old trauma. But that goes back to what Chauncey was saying. That's all a part of healing and doing that inner work and really looking at the parts of you that were messed up and why. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why don't you do this? Why don't you say that? Most importantly, do you like yourself? If you like yourself, self-love is not a question, because you like yourself too much to accept anything else. How do you get to liking yourself? How do you talk to yourself? Do you talk to yourself like an enemy, or do you talk to yourself like you would your friend? If your friend came to you and said, man, I'm a fuck up, would you say, yeah, you are? No. You'd be like, no, you're not. You let them know, reassure them, love them. Same thing. You need that. That'll stop those tapes. I used to sit sometimes, like when I would start to play something that was just detrimental, I would tell myself, stop, out loud. My therapist told me to do that too.
You physically you gotta do it
before you say it. If you're a black man in the middle of the grocery store, stop.
Right.
Don't do it. But seriously, I did, and it would work. And I would say stop, and I'd be like, it's gone, it's over with, it's done. Forgive yourself, and it would go away. And I wouldn't realize it until another one would play, and I would do it again. And once I realized, you know what, I didn't even think about, that old stop I had to throw down. So I mean,
it became second nature.
You control this.
That's what I like most about the app, is the fact that you guys are giving a safe place for people that can be authentic, that can let go of the repetition of the systems and the cycles that are out in the world. Because even within the LGBTQ2 plus community, we bring all of those systems and structures into our personal communities, even broken down into the different categories that exist in the LGBTQ community.
Yep.
And we're wondering why nothing's changing, because we're bringing all that chaos and destruction here.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why it's so much harder for those under the rainbow umbrella to even accept ourselves as the fact that collectively as a community that we have our own differences, and that's what makes us beautiful.
Yep.
Because we're bringing all that nonsense.
And that's it right there. Recognizing our differences, respecting them, protecting each other, and representing each other the right way. When you don't know something, point someone to someone that knows. Don't answer like you know. How you know? You ain't no trans man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you doing talking about me for? You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Man.
And speaking on India, there's going to be a complete section devoted to natural transitioning. There's lots of cool stuff. Like most people don't know the benefits of bee pollen. There's a particular herb called Cistanche tuberculoso that works just like testosterone, depending on your natural testosterone levels. So, like, I was born with way higher testosterone than I was supposed to. So, taking something like this, if I didn't want to transition with HRT, would benefit me. I wouldn't get the exact results, but I would get where I wanted to be. You know what I mean? Because most people that naturally transition don't usually want to be like super masculine, but you definitely want a structure, and it'll give that structure. It'll up your T levels, and it's safe on the body. There's several different natural ways though, and there's going to be a whole library, videos, blog, everything.
Real quick, I just wanted to jump in really quickly. We did get a quick question. If you could turn your attention to the bottom of the screen, Doc.
Yes.
Sorry if I missed Dr. Liam. If he had already discussed the Avid 60-day shot. I don't know if I said all that properly, but do you know what that? I'm not sure. Maybe they're asking like because we were talking about optimizing your shot schedule and all that type of stuff. Maybe what are your thoughts about it?
In initial transition, I would be very wary about long term, like the 60-day shots, the once a month shot. It's kind of like I said with the bucket, the bucket and the shot glass. You pour your shot glass in, you pour a cup in, and then you come back in 60 days and you pour in another cup. How effective would that be, really? You know what I mean? But then that's also according to where you want to be in your transition. I would opt to do the regular schedule. Something that the guys are really going to have to understand is this is not microwave, it's not quick, and it's for the rest of your life. So stop trying to find a way around doing what you got to do, or accept the results of what you do.
Right.
And stop complaining because the option is there. And there are several alternatives unless your skin spits out a needle. I haven't seen that yet, but I've never given anyone a shot and it said never once. But I mean, if there's someone out there, rub a band, but this is not pellets. Would be a really good alternative, but pellets are still put under your skin. And it's still a process. And I wouldn't recommend pellets unless you were past the 7-year mark. You know what I mean? You're going to need that intramuscular absorption for maximum results. And I'm not talking about the outside. I'm talking about the inside. That means you will always have you will always have your estrogen and T playing tennis. Rather than, and that could mean everything from spotting, which happens, we talk about it in the app, menstruation and spotting, not free bleeding by choice, spotting because of not taking the appropriate dosage, not taking it enough. When you first get on, depending on your estrogen levels, you may spot. So you may want to ask your doctor, like if you go in and you carry a little bit more fat, you have a figure, not to, hopefully that doesn't give anyone dysphoria, but you know what I mean? Like, your hips may be a little more prominent. You might be more chest tissue. Ask your doctor where your estrogen levels are before you start T, and that could help with how much T you take, particularly whether you do subcutaneous or gel, because you don't want to spot, and you don't want those kinds of issues because then you're encouraging a cancerous situation. You want it one way or the other. You want California raisins or you want ovaries. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want them in between. For real, like, because I mean you're giving yourself the opportunity to get to
California raisins.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I did California raisins. Yeah.
Hopefully, Ice, that answered your question. If you want any more feedback or some elaboration on something, go ahead and drop another question in the chat for us, and we will definitely address that. But thank you for addressing that, Dr. Leon.
Something else, real quick, Chauncey, if you don't mind, with the
Yeah,
shot.
go ahead. Sure.
There's a on the in the endocrine section of in the endocrine library of the app, and it's not boring. It's really cool the way that I give you the information. There's a spot that talks about testosterone peaking and the different testosterones that are offered and how they peak. Most of us take Cypionate. So Cypionate peaks every 3 weeks, right? So that means that twice in a 3 week period, you're going to be at the highest point. That point, you know what I'm talking about. That's when you feel good. You feel brand new. You feel like you're 16. You know what I mean? And then it peaks again. It peaks again before your shot is supposed to happen. And that's usually when your libido is super high. And you can't figure out why. It's that time when your libido is high. You're like, "What is wrong with me? Like, you're so nasty." That time. That's when it's shot time. You will not be able. You will not be able to decipher between these things if you're taking your shot with that 60-day, because you could peak and then fizzle out, and you're going to go through mental and emotional changes until your shot time. You see what I mean? So, like, the peak controls everything. That's why 1 week or 2 weeks is your shot time, and you're supposed to be on it because the peak controls your levels, not just your shot. When you take your shot and you get sleepy after you take it, that means you're really late, because now your body's starting to go through puberty again. I don't know if anybody has a brother on the panel, but if you have a brother and he went through puberty, you know he slept a lot, he ate a lot, and he took a lot of showers. Same thing you're going to go through. The showers, I'm guessing I don't have to break down what that means, but same thing you guys are going to go through.
Right.
And you know when you're really late, when you take your shot and it's 2 days later and you're like, God. And somebody's like, what's wrong? Oh, man, I just took my shot. You're late. Or if that's the time that the doctor has you scheduled on, it may be time to revisit. You might need more tea, or you might need, if not more tea, more frequency. In the real world, you're supposed to take your shot once every 3 days. That's the ideal.
Once every 3 days.
Good grief.
Yes.
I think most
ideal, but that's not that's
now wait a minute. So
in the beginning. That's
okay.
Yes.
But that's crazy, because I one thing that I can say is that I know that most people are usually put on a weekly or a bi-weekly shot. Most of us. So 3 days has never even, that's just more information, I guess. I wanted to point out that we didn't know, because nobody's ever said that to us.
Think about how you feel after day 4. Like say you take your shot and then 4 days out from that, you most of the time you need another shot by day 5 and not day 7.
Okay.
Pay attention. Just pay attention.
I'm gonna do that, because actually today is my shot day, so I'm about to see what's I'm about to check in.
Now 5 days from now, just kind of pay attention how you feel.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Will do. We had another question in chat, which actually is a great segue to this last piece that I wanted to go into, in terms of the question in chat is, will a better diet and regular shots lessen the feminine shape, like curves and hips? But I wanted to couple that and roll that up into and add into that, why is movement so important for transmasculine bodies? So if you can kind of mash that up together.
Okay, so I'll start with Chris's question. Yes, absolutely. Don't say diet, just say better eating, because diet is not what you would be doing. You just be not eating the foods that are encouraging your estrogen levels to be high. So eating all natural foods. Fasting is the best way that you can go, being FTM, because you are training your body to eat the fat that you have on it that's excess for energy. When you're taking your testosterone, your body's like, oh shit, I'm due. So your body starts to burn that fat anyway. When you fast, you only double that burning. You eat well, you're only adding good insult to injury, you know what I'm saying? And then a workout is probably the icing on the cake. And it doesn't have to be anything that's crazy or intense. Now, movement for us is super, super, super important, because your lower body has been developed originally to have a baby. So let's say, you've pre-transition, you had sex, you had intercourse. Well, now you sped up that process, so your body starts to form and shape. Your pelvic floor is also going to stretch out, which is going to drastically affect your movement once you start to bind. Now you've decided, okay, I'm going to transition. You start to take T. Your body, your hips, unfortunately, are not going to go back in. But what you can do is you can enhance your thighs and you can train your butt. What happens with most of us is we go through what's called gluteal amnesia. The reason why is because we forget about our lower bodies, because blue jeans can be bought in any size. You don't have to look at your legs. You don't have to look at your hips. You go to the gym, most guys, if you look at them in our community, they're built really great from here up. Here down, we still got a little, it's juicy. Some of them still got hips. Because we forget about the lower part of our body. Now, one of the best things that you can do for your body, being a transgender guy, is glute training. That's the biggest muscle on anyone's body. But your butt's going to be bigger because we were supposed to have big. If you're black, your butt's going to be bigger anyway, just because that's where our source of power is. Now, seriously, now with binding, when that happens, I got to stand up for this. When that happens, you got a part of your body. It's called your QL. And it's like an X. It connects the top and the bottom. When you start to bind, you now turn your QL into an AIDS ribbon. So you're flaring out the bottom. This is part of the reason why a lot of guys, when they get surgery, it looks like somebody tied them off right here, and it looks like your belly has expanded, when in actuality it hasn't. Your QL is just tight. So you then start to move kind of like this or like this. A lot of guys also are super kyphotic. What kyphosis is when you hunch forward, because we're so used to, when binding, hiding your chest, or God forbid you go out without your binder to the corner store, you see somebody the jingle bells is rolling, you really like this, right? So that all your life, after surgery, we don't think to stand up straight, because you caught what I said. You don't think to stand up straight because you've trained your body to move this way. So now your hips and everything else they're gonna be bigger. Your butt's not gonna get hard when you do squats or anything like that, because your butt is no longer a part of the movement. Your legs and butt and everything, now you're just moving. You survive. So when you, in the app, there's a complete stretching library, pre and post-op. There's a movement library, pre and post-op. It's not hard. It's not boring. The music is the Isley Brothers and real nice stuff. Kind of like yoga, but not as hard as yoga, because everybody's not a yoga expert. But it's the stretches that we need for these muscles right here. The front, your lower chest, there's back muscles that look just like that. If you have dog ears, that means you don't have this muscle and you've got too much fat here. If you have inverted nipples, you don't have enough of this muscle. You got too much fat here. When your doctor cuts you, you're lying back. Oftentimes, that's why the cut looks like that, because we don't have lower pecs. When you see a guy and he's got a really good cut, he had lower pecs. That gives the doctor a line to follow. If you're binding, even if you're working out and you're not stretching, you're not massage gunning on a regular, then you will not, even if you're working this area, you're not going to stretch out. So your canvas won't be the same way. Particularly if you bind, and you can tell the people that really bind it a lot because their chests are super compact. Their nipples are really close, and their chest, it looks like almost somebody went shoot. And all that is it's just like women that wore corsets for years. They got to a point where they take the corset off and the shape was like that. Yeah.
Stop training your waist.
And that's why movement is so important. And particularly lower body movement, because that's what creates the most change. Squats, it doesn't have to be squats, like leg workouts, chest workouts, compound movements, those things increase testosterone levels. So when you train your lower body, it's going to respond, because your butt isn't, in your body's mind, your butt's not supposed to look that way. When you fast, you're making your body burn fat for energy. And the fat that's not supposed, I call it the baby fat, your layer of baby fat that's not supposed to be there. After you burn that baby fat, then you'll be able to build the body you want by way of muscle. And I'm talking about rock hard, you know. And unfortunately, the way that people have lived over the last 10 to 15 years, most people don't go into surgery in shape. They go into surgery needing to lose weight. Which
let me ask you a quick question, Doc.
Sure.
I wanted you to talk, because actually recently you've taught me something that I didn't realize that was something that was kind of low key, like a little bit of a superpower for us. But oftentimes we go straight to the weights, right? We go straight to the gym. We want to get in the gym. We want to bench press and do all the things. And I love it. I'm a meathead. I enjoy it. But you recently actually were helping me understand the benefits of calisthenics for us, like body weight exercises. So I want you to just talk about that real quick, because I think that it's something that we all need to know. We don't have to jump straight out off the porch into a 315-pound bench press in order to change our bodies. So talk about
no, your body doesn't even know how much weight you're lifting.
Talk about
your body has no idea. That's ego. That's mind. Your body has absolutely no idea how much weight you're lifting. Time under tension, form, and recovery. Those are the three things that change your body. If you're using those three things in whatever you're doing, your body will change. Body weight, calisthenics, weights. Most people that lift weights don't lift weights the right way anyway. Most trans guys that lift weights don't lift weights the right way because you're watching a cis guy lift weights. We don't lift weights the same way. What does that mean? That means, like those muscles I was just showing you, I've seen like a lot of cis guys, they already have lats. You don't. So what do you feel when you're working your lats? How do you know you're feeling it? These last three fingers when you're rowing, that's how you know. Those last three fingers are connected to your tricep, which is connected to that lat, which used to be connected to a booby. They don't have that. So they don't have to do it that way. We do. When you're pulling down, your elbows come in the front of you. Why? Same reason. These three fingers are the ones that pull. That doesn't mean that only these three fingers are on the bar. Please don't do that at the gym. Wrap your whole hand around the bar. Emphasize your first three fingers. Don't send me a video. Liam, I don't know how to live. I don't know. Don't send me a video because I'm hurt you feel. But yeah, that's why. I mean, there's a lot of also too with lower pec development. Feeling the movement is the biggest thing for our community. And I've noticed that the more and more that I'm picking up guys and working with them that have worked with even trans trainers is they can't feel what they're doing at all. And if you can't feel it, then you're not going to change. You're just picking shit up and putting it down, like literally. And for us, because these muscles that require training to prevent dog ears and inversion, to make sure you've got a good canvas so that your chest looks great, that there's balance, that your back is trained in a way where you have good posture. Like all of those things, you have to train a certain way for that. You have to do specific exercises. You have to know where to emphasize. You have to know what part of your palm. Like I've seen lots of people chest out. Did you see my chest? Push from your palm. You want an example? Mush somebody. That's all you're doing with both hands. Think about somebody that misgendered you and mushed the shit out of them.
That's a way to get it done. That is a way to get it done. I mean,
and then also, things like, realizing that we're in an advantage where you don't have to be in the gym for an hour and a half because your body is ready to change. You're taking something that your body is ready. And if you've got the right program, you know how to train, everything's written up the right way, everything's together. The body parts that are supposed to be trained together are being trained together or not. The rest is supposed to be had. You've got a recovery plan is set in place. You're eating what you should be eating. Man, listen, that's how those dudes get it. When y'all be like, oh my God, how did you do that in a year? Dedication. Because when you sign up for this process, ain't no stopping. Ain't no stopping us now.
Man, that's the gym.
We train.
Say that.
India called that.
Also, once you start working out, then your body wants it. Like you wake up wanting, like, yeah, I'm gonna work out today. Your body starts to crave that.
Yeah, Mel was right. We worked together, and it was just a matter of showing him, and he can tell you, when I told him like, squeeze, push here, squeeze there, and as soon as I did, you feel that? Yep, boom. That's the key to everything. You can't change what you can't feel. And that's all the way around for this process. Is that a word? It's a word. You can't change what you can't feel. So whether it be here, whatever. Whoa.
I think
Depth of that.
Oh, go ahead, Bear. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, just the depth of that statement is so intense. Like a lot of people, it's just something we aren't paying attention to when you're really looking at it. Even from the shadow work to the physical work, what you can't feel, you can't change.
No, and it doesn't matter what you look like. If the inside is broken, it's broken. My dad, and this is gonna, please don't let this offend anyone. This is coming from a Marine. My dad used to say, "It don't matter if you got muscles. A bitch is a bitch." He would say that all the time. And he'd be like, "You can look somebody's eyes and tell," and that's true.
I mean,
It doesn't matter because, and please know that you can't. I think that social media really trains people to get into that mindset of arguing and being so combative, but that doesn't work in real life. Like you have to really be able to stand on who you are and just keep it pushing. Like you can't, you're gonna fight everybody, right? Like you know what I'm saying? Like or are you gonna stay hidden in comfortable spaces and not grow forever and be upset with life? Like you have a choice, and I feel like if we don't start to step up as elders and give positive, real, authentic examples, then the young guys, it's bleak.
Yeah. We got to be coachable too. You know what I'm saying? We have to be coachable and accountable to one another and ourselves. And then, also passing that down and just being willing to, man, I just can't say enough. We just got to be willing to do the work on us so that we are a viable example. You know what I'm saying? Cause it's too many out here that are not. So I agree. There was another question, but I think you actually answered it before we even actually asked it.
To avoid injury.
Yeah, just talking about optimizing our results. Yeah, the nuances to avoid injury and things like that. So you talked a little bit about that. If you have anything else you want to pour into that, you're welcome to.
Stretching, being mindful of your body, staying present. A lot of people, that's the biggest thing probably with change, again, across the board with this process, is staying present. And what that means in the gym, like you hear mind muscle connection a lot, right? And you hear staying present a lot. And then people don't explain what is it to be present, what is it to be there. And I always tell clients that staying present is just stopping yourself. And I'm right here right now, even if you have to say it out loud. With your mind muscle connection, close your eyes. Close your eyes and think about, usually when I touch a client, right then they'll say, "Oh yeah, I feel it." And I'll say, "You know why? Because I brought your mind back here. Because you're present." That's why whenever you were in class, and if you were the kid where the teacher put their hand on your shoulder when they were walking by, you weren't present. She brought you back. Same thing. You do that to your kids. Mm-hmm. When they somewhere doing something they ain't supposed to, you put your hand on them like, "Baby, be present. God bless you. Bless you live." You know what I'm saying?
God bless you.
Not being present to get your mouth busted. You know what I'm saying? It will. Yeah. But seriously, I joke around a lot, but this is being present is, if I weren't present now, I wouldn't be able to be as comfortable to sit here. There was a time I wasn't present. There was a time where disassociation was my middle name. You know what I'm saying? Like it was easy for me to sit anywhere and I was nowhere at all because it was easy to do that, because life had dealt that hand where I was like, "Man, fuck this. I'm checking out." And I checked out, like, for real. And I knew I was checked out because, like, later I think about stuff that happened. I'd be like, "Wait a minute, he played me." Like a conversation. I think we all go through that in this community because we learn how to disassociate as kids. I learned how to find my space to compartmentalize the hell that I had to go through. I learned how to be on task when I was supposed to with ADHD as a child in a black house. You know
Man,
what I mean?
I had a
Didn't know how to
therapist tell me.
yeah.
My bad,
So,
my bad.
no, you're fine, man. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I had a therapist tell me once that I was really good at compartmentalizing, and I thought that was a compliment.
No, it's
I
not.
was in that
It's not.
zone
That's
like, yeah,
trauma.
I am now.
No, it just means you're really traumatized, Chauncey.
Really. Oh no, listen. Let me
That's
tell
just
you
like
something.
thanks.
One thing I know about me is that I'm the king of stoicism, and I know that that's not necessary. I know that there's stoicism has a place, right? But I'm literally like right now being 100% transparent. I am working through this compartmentalization issue. I haven't cried in years, which is crazy to me.
And see,
You know
that's
what I'm
not
saying?
stoic. That's not stoic. That's burying.
You said, well, yeah, that too. I'm
That's
just saying,
burying.
like,
Like I used to
there's
bury.
a
I used to
there's
bury
a
like that. And when it comes out, it's gonna come out. Please don't let it come out in the worst place because you're gonna ugly cry.
oh no, I am going, but
It's
listen,
gonna be,
bro,
I mean, snot it's gonna be one of them. Which
Ooh,
be
it
a
will.
slobbering. So make sure you ready.
Now hold on, y'all not gonna have me outside slobbering. Now, hold on, y'all ain't finna do
You
that to
just
me.
wait.
I'm not,
And you light skin, so you
and
gonna
y'all
be
better
ready.
give me a tissue too. Somebody just take me in the back. Don't act like that. Don't
You
leave me
gonna turn
outside.
red
Like
and
that. You know
blue.
what I'm talking about?
You in the back, bro.
But
I'm
no,
gonna
I
take you in
mean,
the
I
back,
think
but I'm
it's
gonna
really
snap a couple
important.
pictures and be like I told you. I'm gonna be like,
Nah, don't do. See,
Put that in
Right.
the show.
In the
I
corner
thought
in the fetal
we was
position,
better than
just
that already.
no,
But I'm saying that to be transparent because this is this is a space where we supposed to be vulnerable because
absolutely.
there's somebody out there that's like me, right? And I think I spent a lot of my childhood just trying to hold it together. Like I didn't. First of all, I had an older sister, and there was a lot of drama that went on in my household anyway. So I learned how to not make too much noise. So I dealt with a lot of stuff that was mine by myself. So now, as I fast forward to an adult, I don't know how to lean on other people emotionally because I only feel safe with me. But what's happening is I'm not even really dealing with the shit. I'm just tucking it in a box and moving on. You know what I'm saying?
I got a
Go
book.
ahead. I'm listening to you.
I've got a book that, and there'll be a book list for. It's gonna be. There's a book list on the app. I have a book. I used to be exactly like that. Exactly like that.
Exactly.
Exactly with two K's like that. And I've got a book that I've read, and there's a workbook that comes with it, and I'm going to share that with you outside of
Please
this,
do.
and it'll help you quite a bit. And one of the things that really helped me was just understanding that what I had to say was important, because I didn't. My parents believe in seen and not heard,
Yeah.
and there's like a 10-year difference between my brother and I. So I grew up very different than he did. And it was the same kind of thing. Like, I knew when my mom walked in the door, like I could gauge, like I already knew, what to do, how to move, like I kind of stayed in my place,
Hypervigilant.
made sure I stayed quiet. You know what I mean? Like I was always very hyper vigilant. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I got older, it created a barrier between me and everything. And I remember my therapist, when I first started seeing her, she gave me this analogy of these three houses. And one house had a fence that was like raggedy and, it's like shit thrown all on the lawn. And there's people on the front porch drinking. And the other house, had a decent fence, but had a couple holes in it, and you could get in, but not very easily. And the other house had like a brick wall in front of it. She was like, the third house is you. She was like, you're blocking out the good and the bad. So I had to get to a point where I could learn how to accept the good, trust it, and block out the bad. But then before I got there, I had to learn that what I had to say was very important. You know what I'm saying? Like I was important enough to listen to. Like, and it wasn't going to sound silly. It wasn't going to be, something, no matter what it was. It was important enough for me to tell to someone.
Yeah. Yeah. True life. And I mean, I definitely appreciate that. That's very encouraging. I think it's just really important for me to say that in this, because I'm in the process right now, and being mindful and understanding where I am. They say the first step is admitting you have a problem, right? You know what I mean? That's me right now. Like I understand. Like another episode. But I'm just saying, for any brothers that are out there that are like walking, you know, through the world holding all of everything for themselves, because I know it's a lot of us, right? It's not just
I was
me.
about
It
to say
really
every
is you.
black man alive.
You know what I'm saying? It's not, but like you said, there is something important that you have to say, and also there are people that will listen to you. Everybody's not going to listen to you, and everybody doesn't deserve to hear all of your vulnerabilities, but there are people that will listen to you. And but you have to do the work on the inside to be able to like not be so fearful that everybody is looking to take you out, because you know that's the thing too, man. That's the thing, like when you feel like that you have been, if you've been shot at or beat up for emotionally expressing yourself before, it's not, you know, that builds a habit within you, that builds a safety, a compartment, if you will, to let you know, hey, you know, I'm gonna just keep this on to myself, because you know, when I put it out there, I get smacked over and over, you know what I'm saying? So you just
Yeah, buddy.
keep it on in here, you know what I mean? I know what's in here, so we good over here.
Well,
But
that's a very good segue into what my final comment will be, and the most important part of that is going to be the community aspect, and that's exactly what the purpose of the community aspect of the app will be. Exactly what Chauncey said, a place that's safe, that is, it doesn't have to be like-minded, but most definitely empathetic and compassionate, you know, where you can be heard. You don't always have to be agreed with, but sometimes um, disagreeable wisdom that comes with respect, I think, goes a long way, giving you a different vantage point of things. I think watching men that are more masculine, that, you know, express themselves vulnerably, only opens up the door for other people to do it, and not just masculine men, but other people in general. You know,
Yes.
I think that that gives space to everyone because of the assumptions that come along with, you know, the way that we look, and the way that, you know, we are a little more quiet or stoic in situations, but that's just because of our journey. You know, the same way you can tell when someone had two great parents that walks through pride with them, you know, because of their journey. You know what I mean? And I think that we need to learn to respect every part of everybody's. And that's where I don't like the social media part of our community, particularly the trans masculine community, because it's not a healthy place to learn. It's not a healthy place to grow. It's not a healthy place to be a brother. You see the word bro and brother and bruh all the time, and I never see brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like it's not. Yeah, I agree 100%. And as far as what the app has, there's a choose your chest section that's amazing, that you can actually customize your chest from your surgery. There's scar care, medication care, mental health access from trans educated and trans doctors. There's a trans wellness staff, yoga and meditation follow along, live events, virtual events. There's an elder circle where we will chop up trans binary tough topics that nobody likes to talk about, but I don't give a damn because we're going to. There's going to be a self-care section that focuses on everything from hygiene to, you know, how do I edge my hair up? How do I shave? Do I go against the grain or not? What do I things that, you know? There's going to be what else? Oh man, mindfulness section. There's everything you can think of. Name.
so
There's even going to be a section where you can do voice training.
Nice.
so tell us real quick, as we approach the end of our call, and I mean, man, this it's very clear that we need more conversations like this. But what I'd like to do is really quick, is the first thing I'd like to do is I want to see if there are, does anybody have final comments? Anybody else want to, you know, finalize and say anything?
I just want to say that you can't change what you don't feel. I need a shirt with that on it. Like
We can do
2 weeks
that.
ago.
That's gonna be a hello new. We can do that. We can do that. I love that,
Yes,
and I like that saying too. I do.
yes,
That was an original.
Damn.
Yeah, that's true
Sounds,
though. Oh,
sounds
go
like
it
this.
is.
It sounds like to me that this app that you have created is more of a not only health wise, but how to become the best man. Just like when kids are young, they sit down and they talk to, a woman might sit down and talk to her daughter about becoming a woman, right?
Exactly.
This is
Yeah.
the same way I feel like with this app is becoming a man. A trans guy don't really have people to look up to who has been through what they've gone through, especially with your elder circle. It helps people like me who, yeah, I'm 7 years in, but there's someone who's been more in than I am that I can learn from. So and we're reaching back. So I really am interested in this app.
Yeah. And what I love too is that the mention of masculinity and the representation is not framed out of myself or Chauncey or Malachi. It is for everyone. And Dalo is for Eric. It's for if you celebrate your masculinity. There are certain things that you absolutely won't vibe with, but 90% of it, you will. 90% of it, there will be somewhere where you will absolutely feel, absolutely is the word of the day, feel accepted and seen as, a masculine presenting, masculine experiencing. I'm just a binary masculine trans man. But I've made sure that it's not like you won't get on the app and be like, oh, this is some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like it's ain't for me. You know what I mean? Like you'll absolutely you'll feel accepted, welcomed, loved.
I think with all the information that you provided thus far, um, that's the only way it could be experiencing that app. Like your information is thorough and not just from a medical perspective, but from a lived experience. And that is so needed. So needed. I want to throw Chris's question in here real quick if we can.
Sure.
It's is it ever too late to get the chest you want? Because I
Nope.
know that's something you touched on in a conversation that we had outside of this. So
Never too late. Nope. Muscles will always develop as long as you have them. We have over 932. We got 206 bones. It's never too late to get the chest you want. You just have to know who to work with.
Carry the one every time. Every time. All right, Doc. Please, you're getting a lot of love in the chat. I want to say on behalf of the chat and all of us, thank you so much for sitting with us these last couple hours. We certainly hope that you choose to come back.
Thanks.
We're definitely going to invite you back. Ice is definitely showing love in the chat as
I
well.
appreciate it, Ice. Thank you. And I'll touch more on the 60-day shot. I'll leave my email with Chauncey and you guys can email me questions as well.
Absolutely, I got you. And before we completely end, I would love for you to tell us where can the people find you?
Yes. Liam Johnson on Facebook. If you want to join the circle of folks that are already learning about the app and experiencing things that are on it, it's the Liam Johnson with no shirt, not my face. The one with my face is my family, and I won't accept you. I already don't want them on there. On Instagram, Dr. Liam underscore PT specialist. But the Hello Me has its own page. It's underscore get Hello Me underscore. It's flashing there on the screen. There's a workout page that is being loaded. It's get Hello Me, get Hello Me workouts. If you are on either of the pages, you will get a notification when it's loaded. I am creating a info website in the meantime of waiting for the app because I had to fire my developer because they were trying to screw me over trying to screw me over, not my money. So I found a new one and it's going to take a little bit longer, but I don't want anybody to have to wait. So I'm going to create a small website where you can still enjoy the benefits of it up until next year when the app's done.
So I know that's a lot of information. So for those of you
Right.
watching that want to keep in touch, Black Trans Men of Ohio, if you already follow us, Black Trans Men of Ohio, Facebook, IG, I think we got a TikTok. But for the most part, for sure on Facebook and IG, we will be sharing Dr. Liam's information in terms of like the pages and the way to sign up for Hello Me. We'll make sure we have all that information on there this week for you guys. So
There's
if
a
you
Hello
do have
Me
any, let
page.
us know, and we'll make sure we get that information to you. Would you say?
There is a Hello Me YouTube page. I'm loading it, so I'll have you guys share it on your platform and
Okay.
You can check out the videos that I've made thus far. There's a bunch of videos ranging, almost touching on everything we've spoke about, honestly.
And
Yes,
and it
it's
is and it is get hello me, not just hello me, right?
Nah, get hello me, yeah. Get it?
correct.
Get
Get
hello
it.
me.
And Chris says yes, we do have a TikTok, 100%. But listen, I know we are going to invite you back because we have
Okay.
more conversations to have. It is the 8 o'clock hour. Again, I want to say thank you very much for sitting with us and giving us some wonderful information, not only to have learned, but also some things that we can start to spearhead off of in our lives and finding more valuable things that apply to us specifically. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
Thank you. Shout out to the board, the team. I always appreciate sitting with you guys. I learn so much each and every time that I am here in this space. And shout out to the president. Chris was unable to be with us physically, a face front, but he's always here in spirit, and he's always here supporting us. And he says he loves you guys. So
Hey, love
shout
you
out to
too.
you.
Hey,
Love
hey.
you right back.
Love
We
you too.
love you right back.
Right?
Thank
I
you
hate
guys
that
so much. And
scene.
for the rest of you guys, we'll see you guys next month. January, we'll be back. We'll do it again.
I
Talk to you soon.
appreciate y'all, man. Everybody have a good night.
Have a good night. And also,
Peace.
don't forget our in person second Monday,
Oh,
December
that was my
11th,
bad.
and the third Thursday for our online, December 21st. Are we still doing that? Yes.
We gonna post it. We'll
We can
post it.
post it. All right.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
post
post
about our events coming up. Check us out. Much love. Y'all have a good night.
it. Always. Take care.